Manchester United, who I guess helped on their way by Christian Romero, but even so won very, very efficiently, played again some very, very attractive football, and are right in the thick of it now.
Yeah, and that obviously makes the game a little bit more comfortable, a lot more comfortable for Manchester United. But the first goal was fantastic. I mean, both goals were fantastic for Manchester United. That free kick, that corner that United scored was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, so well worked, so well drilled, finding an opportunity. The way in which the sort of Tottenham player at the edge of the box just got sucked in a little bit, and then he played it inside him into the edge of the box. Really, really well worked. Coaching team take a massive amount of credit for that. And I thought the second goal as well. I just loved the way that Dalot, we talked about Dalot a couple of weeks ago on here, and I got a lot of heat from United fans thinking that basically you've lost your mind. I'll say it again, I think Dalot has got something in him as a right back. Stick him at right back, keep a stable defence with Maguire, Martinez and Shaw, and I think Dalot will perform at 7 out of 10, week in, week out, if he just simplifies his game and does what he did yesterday, just whip it into the box. It's the job of the others in there to be there. You just get it out your feet and whip it in. He put a lovely ball in, and it was a tough one for Bruno Fernandes to be able to actually manage and hit. But I'll tell you what, it was an exceptional technique. And look, I can't believe where United are.
No.
You know, if you think I watched them 6 out of those 7 games before Ruben Amorim was sacked, and the one after against Burnley when Darren Fletcher took over. And I mean, it was terrible. It was shocking. It really was shocking. And what Michael Carrick has done, he's rebuilt trust instantly and faith. The players obviously straight away are listening. They're trusting in what the message is. And it's a complete about turn. And he's done more than that. The results are excellent. The performances are fantastic. Really good performances. Really, really good. I like what I see. He's rebuilt faith in the system of play, in the 4-4-1-1, and the way in which United should always play. Cunha left, Ahmad right, Bruno close and off, and Burmo, the two in midfield. He's rebuilt faith, and I'm probably, to be fair, relating this entirely to the Kobbie Mainoo situation, in the fact that Manchester United have to have faith in their academy players, but it's only one player. But he's a pretty good player, and I'm not saying that every Manchester United player that comes through the academy should get more chances than the others. They shouldn't, but they should be given a chance and a fair crack of the whip. And he wasn't given a fair crack of the whip in the first 4 or 5 months of the season, and now he's playing in there alongside Casemiro, who's having a wonderful swan song, isn't he? If you think about how Casemiro is, he almost feels free. That he knows he's leaving at the end of the season. It's an incredible swan song and his form's fantastic. But Kobbie Mainoo in there alongside him just looks so smooth, just looks so comfortable. So everything at the moment for United is looking really, really good. And yeah, they do look at the moment like they really have got an incredible chance because of the fact they haven't got the confusion and the chaotic fixture list that some of the others have. You would think that they've got a massive chance now with the way in which Michael Carrick has set about the job in getting into the Champions League, which was the unthinkable only 4 or 5 weeks ago. Unthinkable.
Yeah, so, and this is going to be asked so often in the next 2 or 3 months, I mean, at what point does it become impossible not to give Michael Carrick the job, and or can it never be Michael Carrick?
Yeah, well, look, Peter, I made my sort of position clear a few weeks ago, and what I'm not going to do on this podcast is repeat it every week. But what I did, look, I actually spoke to the club, because ultimately the club get asked all the time, officially, from journalists, broadcasters, what's the position of the club? How are the club going to deal with this? Because it's a very difficult situation. You've got a massive movement now with what's happened towards giving Michael Carrick the job and saying that really he should be considered. And that's only going to build the more that he wins and the more that he gets closer to Champions League football. Actually, I asked the club, I said, what is the official position of the football club in terms of what you're saying publicly to everybody else? And I asked them, and I have to say, I thought their answer was pretty good. They said, look, we've actually begun our process now, starting to look for another manager. which I thought, wow, that's good to hear, because you need to plan for everything. So they've started the process of going, speaking to, and I think looking at other managers, building all the sort of data, the analysis of who should be the next manager of the football club. But what they've said is they're not going to be bounced into, irrespective of wins or draws or losses on the pitch in this next couple of months, making an appointment. They're going to wait towards the end of the season. If Michael then at that point makes himself available for the job, and I did say actually a couple of weeks ago on my podcast that I wondered whether Michael actually would say, no, I was told to come in here for the rest of the season, and actually that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hand over the baton to someone else, because he is that type of guy, Michael. He's someone who, to be fair, would always work in the best interest of the football club, and he may do that, or he might say, no, I feel comfortable enough, I've built such a good relationship with the players, I've got a fantastic relationship with my coaching staff, I think we can do a great job here, I want to put my name in the hat and I want to basically put myself forward. At that point, Michael Carrick, like in any other recruitment role in the country for any other business, would go into what would be process versus the likes of Tuchel and all the others that are going to become available in the summer. So I think that's fair. I think at this moment in time, Manchester United don't need to answer the question. I don't need to repeat my position every single week, but what I would say is that at the end of the season, Manchester United, if Michael Carrick puts himself forward, has the ability to make the decision as to whether they go for Michael Carrick or one of the other candidates that become available. And all I will say right now is, if Michael Carrick is selected or he's not selected, no one can be 100% sure of what the right decision is when it comes to Manchester United. All you can do is go with what your feeling is and your opinion and think of it for the right reason. So, yeah, I think that we can put that to bed maybe for the next couple of months, because the club have said they're going to look at this and not going to be bounced into making a decision. And if they win another 4 or 5 and they're almost emphatically in the Champions League, and that will be incredible. It'd be a great position to be in, by the way. If you think about where probably Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox thought they were going to be maybe a few weeks ago, is that Michael Carrick at the end of the season, Manchester United might be in 6th or 7th, and they're making a decision whereby they're not in the Champions League. This is perfect. This is exactly what they would have wanted, where there is a complete and utter uplift in performance. There's more faith being built in the players. The players all of a sudden look like they can play football at the level that they were when they signed, and Manchester United can make a decision at the end of the season based on the managers that make themselves available. And let's see what they do. My opinion is not the important one. It's the opinion of what those Manchester United executives think at the end of the season when they're interviewing the likes of Tuchel and Howe and Ancelotti, Nagelsmann, whoever else, Enrique, Carrick, etc. Hopefully they'll have a lot of choice and they'll be able to make that choice well.
Yeah. Well, I promise not to ask you that question again.
You can.
For at least a fortnight.
No, look, I mean, they're in a great position. It's been an incredible turnaround. What Michael has done. One thing I will say is, I don't buy into this. I don't buy into this. All he had to do was put the players in the right positions, and it was obvious what would happen. I don't buy into that at all. I think there is some exceptional coaching and exceptional work going on with the players, from the set piece that we saw yesterday, from the very first game, the interlink, the combinations. Yeah, of course they've put players in the right positions. Of course they've basically sort of put square pegs in square holes rather than square pegs in round holes. I get that. But we're also very quick to sort of have a go at managers and coaches when they put sort of square pegs in square holes, play a certain system. I mean, I remember actually... I'm a fan of 4-4-2. I always have been. Or 4-4-1-1. I always have been for United. Even though under Eric Ten Hag, I did say at one point maybe this team should actually be suited going to a 3. But let's be really clear. I'm a 4-4-1-1 person. And Darren Fletcher went to 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2 in his 2 games against Burnley and Brighton and lost. So that's the best signal. Forget what Ruben Amorim did. Darren Fletcher put square pegs in square holes, and we didn't get the level of performance. All of a sudden, Michael Carrick, Steve Holland, Johnny Evans, Jonathan Woodgate have come in. They've put the 4-4-2 system or 4-4-1-1 system out on the pitch. Similar players, excepting Ahmad and Mbeumo come back, which are a factor. And the combinations and the way in which the team work together is completely and utterly different. So there is some high-quality work going on the training ground. Because, trust me, we have this big thing, don't we? Whatever we see on a Saturday is a reflection of what happens on the training ground. We can't use that in reverse when we see really good combinations and good work, and then say, "Oh, by the way, they just thrown the players out there onto the pitch." No, they haven't thrown the players out there onto the pitch. That's not what happened. So, for me, I think it's been so good. I'm so happy for Michael because, to be fair, the opposite of that would have been 2 defeats against Arsenal and City, or City and Arsenal, not scoring that last minute winner against Fulham, and then Fulham, Tottenham not getting a man sent off yesterday, and drawing. All of a sudden, they'll be like doom and gloom. You've always got to think about where United are. It's always this or this, and it always has been. And by the way, that's back in the day when we lost a game. It was a crisis. Absolute. Lost one game. It was a crisis. Manchester United lost 2 games. It was a real problem. So it's always a bit like that with United. But I think Michael has just brought such composure, such professionalism. He's got a good character for this type of moment, and the players are responding to him, and it's brilliant. It's just nice to be talking about a positive Manchester United for once.
Yeah.
But we are going to start with that Saturday lunchtime fixture yesterday afternoon as Manchester United beat Tottenham Hotspur. Christian Romero, the Spurs captain, sent off once again. Dan, actually important that the key point to make already is that you've attacked the pastry, because a lot of people who watch at home think that these are purely decorative. But you went straight in before 9 o'clock.
They're not for show.
They're not for show. And I think it's important to make that point, isn't it? To less serious news, let's talk about the game from yesterday. In the Sun, the top line of it from Tom Barkley, James, knee-jerk or not, it must be getting tempting now, is the reference to Michael Carrick making it 4 games in a row. Given the way he started, do you think he's making it easier or harder for Manchester United's hierarchy?
Harder, undoubtedly. Because if they really thought Michael Carrick was the right man, they would have given him the job permanently. Fact of the matter is, what he's doing at the moment is absolutely maximising an opportunity to return Manchester United to some sort of default setting, which is playing the system they want to play, putting the academy players back into the setup, putting just simply the best players in the best positions, which is what Ruben Amorim was so resistant to doing for so long. And I think probably one of the biggest aspects is that he's been bold with a lot of his substitutions. And we saw that when they beat Arsenal, that at 2-2, they were still trying to play on the front foot. They weren't regressing, which is what they used to do a lot under Ruben Amorim. And again, yesterday against Spurs, obviously they had the man advantage, but they kept making positive changes, kept trying to be on the front foot. And the bar is so low at Manchester United these days that is enough to start to make it look like progress. But I have to say, I still doubt whether Michael Carrick is the man who's going to bring back the league title to Manchester United. It feels very Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 2.0 to me, and that what he's done is he's given the players a sense of freedom. You see sort of, the Rabona from Fernandes in the second half, and the players sort of playing this one-touch stuff, which is great. And he's liberated them a little bit, but that is a short-term feeling, and the challenge for the hierarchy is to compartmentalise that and not get carried away by it.
And that is the difficulty, isn't it? And the balancing act that I guess people like Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox have to strike a little bit. And I remember saying on Sky Sports News on the day that he was given the job, Carrick, is it an adult conversation that is being had here, and said, look, it is 15, 16 games and that is it, no matter how well you do. But if he suddenly reels off 12, 13 wins, it does become a lot more difficult to not give him the job, doesn't it? Or should they stick with their guns? If they thought it's short term, it is short term.
No, I don't think they should stick to their guns. I think they should give him the job. I mean, if he'd been parachuted in April and it'd been 5-6 games and they'd won all of them, and maybe they'd have thought, well, he needed longer. Well, it's quite a long time in the season. A lot can happen. So, if he's done it over several months, and looking at what he's doing, bringing in a really good assistant manager in Steve Holland, I don't think we should underestimate what a huge, massive impact he will have. Both. Just basic coaching, of course, but just everything we saw with England, the culture, and we know the culture's been wrong at Manchester United. So to bring that in, which Gareth Southgate probably would have done had he been given the chance at Man United, which I thought might happen when Dan Ashworth was there. But obviously Steve Holland is there now, albeit with a different coach. But he'll have a huge impact, and it's obvious that Maguire's back in the team. Luke Shaw, Kobe Mainu, maybe one of those three could get into the World Cup squad because they were all been out of the reckoning, and ultimately, if United get those results, I think Carrick has to have the job.
It's interesting that James was talking about it being Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 2.0, and the quotes from Bruno Fernandes says Michael has won everything here. He knows what it means to the fans, he knows what it means to the club, and knows how much you need to win here. I think that adds something special to the team. And the criticism was when firstly it was Darren Fletcher, then it became Michael Carrick, that this is just the Manchester United routine, that anytime something goes vaguely wrong, you think, well, someone who knows Fergie slightly, just give him the job for a bit and it will go back to the good old days.
Yeah, I noticed Roy Keane saying he wouldn't give him the job even if he won every game between his appointment and the end of the season, which I think speaks to this anxiety that it's going to be Solskjaer 2.0, to James's point, that they've been here, they've kind of done this and it didn't work. I noticed United didn't give him the interim tag. They didn't say Michael Carrick's the interim manager or head coach. They said he's the manager until the end of the season. So they've left themselves some wiggle room there perhaps to make that appointment and just extend his contract if it goes really well. I think we have to reserve judgment because he has been a breath of fresh air. It is new manager bouncy, I think. He's freed up the players. He's played people like Fernandes in their proper position. So no wonder Fernandes is giving him a ringing endorsement. He's back at number 10. He's put faith in academy players. He's brought players back in. So he's done a lot of simple things to dramatically improve the side.
But you heard it from Pep. The quadruple is still very much on and alive for Manchester City. But Micah, seriously, how much can one result, one turnaround, change the complexion here? Could one victory here, when it looked like City might be beaten, catapult them into favouritism for the title?
I won't say favouritism. I think they've got experience within it. I told you before we started today, against Spurs in the first half, excellent. Against Newcastle, I saw signs of them being able to come up with this sort of performance. And that's why I said it. City's fixtures looks quite favourable, I would say. City could go on a run for 10 games. That's how good
let's
they
have
can
a look
be.
at this. Could they win all of these?
They could do, because they've done it before. Of evidence we've seen in the past. I don't think they're the team of the past, but what they've showed today against Liverpool at Anfield, especially when you go one down, have you got the character to come back in the game? And that's exactly what they did, and that's why I went strong. Watching them, we talk about stats, and we love stats. You boys especially love the stats. But when I'm watching them, the combination, especially that's what I was talking about, Mamouche and Semenyo as wide forwards, it was exciting. They're playing good football, and that's why I thought they could do something today.
Why are you laughing at him?
I'm enjoying it. Full of energy, isn't it? But it was.
But as much as it changes things for Manchester City, surely also if you're in the Arsenal dressing room right now, it completely changes the thought process for them as well. In games that you might thought, oh, we're relaxed now, we've won 4 on the bounce, suddenly looking a bit harder, like Brentford on Thursday.
They can't let anything on the outside. They're in the driver's seat. They're in control of their destiny. That's what you want as a football player. You want to be able to feel like as long as we keep doing what we need to do, we're going to win the title. So I don't care if you win. You can win as many games as you want. As long as I do my job, that's all that matters. And I think that's the perspective that Arsenal have to have. Yes, cool, we understand from the outside. We're seeing that it might add a bit more tension, a bit more drama, a bit more jeopardy. But from their perspective, they have to be thinking it's another day at the office. We've got to go out here, we've got to do a job and focus on ourselves.
I think when you look at those fixtures, they look favourable for Man City, but I'm sure if when we put Arsenal's up, it'll be pretty much the same. And we're talking about Arsenal still having to go to City. I think the Carabao Cup final is a huge moment for both teams, and I think if Manchester City won that, psychological, because then a lot of talk would be, oh, Arsenal can't get over the line again, another trophy. Even if if City could cut that by a point or two round about then and could beat them in the Carabao Cup final, I think psychologically that would be huge for Manchester City in that run. And I think Arsenal are the best team. I think they've got the best squad. I still believe they'll go on and win the league. But I'm just thinking where City can get a little chink at them. And for me, I think it's almost better for Man City that they're playing Arsenal than Chelsea in the final. Just for that reason, psychologically.
March the 22nd is the Carabao Cup final with us, and then April 18th, 19th, that weekend for Manchester City against Arsenal. Is it a question for City then of just trying to get on Arsenal's coattails before that game comes around?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I think the one again, we've been critical of the City team over the last 18 months or so, but if you're in Arsenal's camp, yeah, you're comfortable where you are in the points total and where they're playing, and again, a lot of goals over the last week or so, the clean sheets, etc. But you don't want to be looking over shoulder at Pep because they've got a history of hunting you down. That's the only. I still agree. I still believe Arsenal will win the league. But when you look over his shoulder, and today, when you see him, the Arsenal players would be at home. A lot of them would be watching the game, and the staff, and you see they're 1-0 down. City, you'd be going, there'll be an element to that. And you think, well, they might get a draw, and then to go on and win it. And you know, Pep, and I don't know, sometimes we do kind of write Pep off. We do go, has he still got that hunger, this City? Is it a rebuilding job? And he just mentioned they're still in contention to win a few trophies here, and they will try and hunt that Arsenal team down.
Could it be a leaving gift, Micah? You said the club has a bright future.
Well, yeah, I mean, with him in it, I think. We hope. Because it's been superb, hasn't it, Dave?
It certainly has.